Woo. It's hot. It's too hot for this shit. I can't do any printing. I need some air. Woo.
You know, David Bailey, he talks to the person, blah, 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 and he's got a big 2.5 inch plate. He takes one picture. He says, it cost me 50 quid a time. It's all saying I'm a millionaire, but it adds up. And he puts the person at ease so he gets the personality. And a David Bailey portrait is the best, isn't it? Yeah, he's good. But he says, when you see digital, they've done 1,000 of the same, and they take what they think's the best. It's getting very difficult to be a good photographer now.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in and around the streets of Newport and I'm trying out these particular films to see how they stand up in Rodinal. So I brought out with me the Yashica Mat 124G 6x6 medium format camera, and inside this at the moment I've got a roll of Ilford HP5, which is a 400 speed film, ideal for handheld stuff around the streets. My normal go-to films for any street photography I do is, if I feel a bit warm in the pocket, Kodak Tri-X 400, Ilford HP5 and also Oro UN54, which is only a 100 speed film. And the developers of my choice usually is either ID11, Ilford's ID11, Kodak D76 or Kodak X-Tol. Now and again 510 Pyro if I want very fine grain in some of my scapes, but on the streets I'm usually going for those developers. But today, like I said, I'm going to see what happens in Rodinal.
Billy, come on. Billy, come in. Come on.
Hello.
Come on.
And one of the great things I love about shooting film is the amount of variables, the amount of options that you've got to shoot. I always say it's best to stick with your own combo and keep with it, get real used to it. But now and again it's nice to just jump off the scale and play with other films and other developers. And that's exactly what I'm doing today, just for a bit of fun. I'm going to shoot 3 different films and develop them all in Rodinal so I can see for myself, you know, how they all perform. Write my notes down and go, well, that was a good day out taking photographs, job done. Now, if you're new to film photography, all these different films can get a little bit confusing. They certainly were to me when I first started out. And it just takes time to get used to the different films and find out what suits you best for your style of photography. And if all the numbers on films are a little bit confusing, such as 50, 125, 400, just think about the ISO on your digital camera. That's all it is. It's just a film speed rating by the manufacturer. So for example, Pan F50 is a 50 ISO film, FP4 is a 125 ISO film, and Ilford HP5 is a 400 ISO film. You can't change the ISO as you're shooting. Once you've put that film inside your camera, that's what you're going to be sticking with, that exposure rating all the way along your shoot. It's down to you to meter for that ISO and change your exposure via the shutter speed or your aperture. So you're not going to be changing the ISO itself on the camera. Otherwise, all your exposures are going to be all over the place. So if you're new to film photography, that's what all those numbers mean on the film. And the plus side of it on Ilford's films, Ilford have got 2 different films. They've got Delta range and they've got their Plus range. The Plus range is kind of an old traditional formula or traditional emulsion on the film, and their Delta films are more modern, technically advanced film. So I'm shooting Plus, that's all that means. It's just an old traditional, old school film. So I'm using these 3 Plus films today. All of them have got a brilliant tonal range, brilliant sharpness. The only difference is the speed of rating of the film, 50, 125 and 400. So yesterday I went out with Ilford HP5 400 and also Pan F50, and I shot those without any video. So I'll show you those images now, and you notice that the HP5 400 are kind of underdeveloped. Now with the Rodinal developer, I went on the massive dev chart, looked at the times, and it did surprise me at first because it gave me 6 minutes, which is exactly the same as Pan F, and I thought 400 speed film, surely it should be longer, but I went with it, and it's evident that I underdeveloped the negatives. So I'm going to shoot another roll of HP5 just for my own benefit, so I can write my notes down. This time I'll probably go about 8 minutes and see what happens. come to this place today to shoot the HP5 and FP4 on this harbour here, so I've got loads of opportunity, loads of options to take photographs of and get some nice little creative shots using the Yashica Mat 124G. People look at me like I'm a right oddball. I don't care. I probably am. Do you still shoot film, Mark?
No, I just go digital. I'm not. I let other people do it. That is my idea. I've been there, done that. So let the young people come in. They need the encouragement. We don't want 71-year boring old farts doing everything.
What camera did you have? A film camera?
I had a Topcon with top core lenses. When I was deep sea on the ships, I used to take pictures of like fogscapes and bad weather and icebergs and you name it, for the calendars for the shipping company. And then I had a 400mm fixed lens, and then I just got bored. You know, it then got so expensive. Then digital came out, and the first digital cameras were very, very expensive, but only about 20 pixels. And now it's just got really too expensive. And I like painting now. I do watercolour paintings instead.
So when it comes to taking anything on the street, I like seeing a little bit of grain in my photographs, and when you're shooting a film such as HP5 400, you're going to naturally get a bit of grain because it's, you know, like I said about your DSLR, you bump the ISO up, you're going to see more noise. In film's case, you're going to get a bit more grain. With the Pan F50, it's a very, very fine grain film, and so is also FP4 as well, depending on how you process it. But with the HP5 400, I'm expecting to see some grain, especially in Rodinal. Now, there are some developers that tame the grain a little bit. 510 Pyro, Xtol is one of them, and also Perceptol as well. I think it's Perceptol. Yeah, Perceptol from Ilford, which can help tame the grain on some of that film. And Rodinal is a developer that just tells the truth. So if there's grain on the film, you're going to see it in your print. Rodinal will just shout out, "There's the grain, baby. You can keep it. That's what I'm giving you." And another thing I like about Rodinal is it lasts for ages. Once you've opened the bottle up and you put it back in your shelf, it'll go brown. It'll look all like you've got the runs or something after a curry. But it lasts for ages once it's shelved. I think the bottle that I'm using for these developments I've had for probably about 7 or 8 months, and it's gone really dark and brown, but it still works, it's still potent, and it's very economical as well. So with the 400 speed film and the Rodinal, definitely expecting to see some grain. I'm going to be diluting it 1 part to 25, and the less dilution that you do, you get less grain. The more dilution, you're going to get more grain. So if I did it 1 part to 100 on a stand development, for example, or maybe 1 part to 50, I'll get more grain, more noticeable grain than I would at 1 part to 25. So I'm going to be going 1 part to 25 when I get back and develop these films. That was an interesting guy, Mark. And if you're wondering what the start of this video was all about with me naked in the darkroom, we're having a scorching heat wave at the moment in the UK, and my darkroom is like a sauna. Yep, I was actually in my pants, but realised it was too hot to make any prints. So there'll be no prints in this video, unfortunately. It's quite nice when you're shooting a camera like this old one, people notice it. I've already had 2 comments. A lady on the boat down there, she said, "Oh, that's a Yashica." She said, my dad used to have one of those. And that gentleman there, Mark, he stopped me. That's how we got into conversation, because he saw the camera. And around here is ideal for portraits, anywhere like this, industrial. You could put them against all these old, what are these called? These containers. You've got all these corrugated buildings here, all these boats. Around here is great for portraits. So I'm glad that I managed to get a couple of portraits on my little travels today with Mark. I tried to take a photograph of him as he was talking. I was just listening to him. I said to him, "Look, I'm going to be looking through the viewfinder as we're chatting, but I am listening." He was cool with that, and I just took 2 shots. One smiling and one as he looked away. So I was waiting for ages for him to look away, and he finally did. I hope they've come out all right. Oh wow, look at what I found around here. So I'm at the back of the boatyard, all these big old chains and this broken boat. If that says something about alcohol on the side, it is. I've got photographs of that boat when it sunk, and that was over at Ventnor. I've got actually photographs of that boat, amazing, of when it was being lifted out of the water, and here it is here, miles away. Last owner not known. It was dumped, that's right, it was dumped in the harbour, that's what they told me, and they had to get it out. They didn't know who the owner was, so possibly stolen, or someone didn't want it anymore. Aquaholic it was called. I thought it was quite funny because it was referring to drinking, so and the boat had crashed. And this is the kind of photography that I like, just old buildings, you know. This stuff ain't going to be here forever, it's all going to be pulled down one day, it won't be here. So I've got a catalogue of old buildings all around the Isle of Wight and London as well. I like this old factory looking workshop here. We'll grab that before Armageddon. Okay, so that's that HP5 shot. Hopefully I'll develop that a little bit longer in Rodinal and get that development right. 6 minutes I don't think was long enough for that film. I'm going to go and shoot the, put this in a box and then go and shoot the FP4. That's the last film. I'll show you the results. So looking at the second roll of HP5 that I shot and put in Rodinal for 8 minutes, you can see the development works a little bit better, but I still think that this is going to need another couple of minutes to build some decent densities. You can still see that the HP5 is a little bit underdeveloped. This is the FP4 at the top and that came out really nice. Anyway guys, so I hope you enjoyed that video. That's me playing with 3 Ilford films with Rodinal Developer, and like I said at the start, it's good to play around with stuff. I'm always used to shooting my own combos, but it's good to play around with stuff and you know, write your own notes down. In this case, we all know that Ilford HP5 is going to produce more grain than the FP4, and the FP4 is going to produce more grain than the Ilford Pan F film, but there are different developers out there that give you all different kinds of results. I'm playing around with Rodinal. It's one of my favourite developers that I always keep in my cupboard, and I use it from time to time. Shooting Pan F50 handheld is a bit of a gamble. I was shooting on sunny days, so I was mostly shooting around about a 30th and the 60th of a second, but if it was an overcast day, there's no way I could have been able to shoot that film without a tripod. So 125 or the 400 speed would have been okay, but for my street photography stuff, handheld and a best bet in all lighting conditions is going to be the Ilford HP5 400 speed film. I hope you enjoyed the video guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Let us know in the comments if you use Rodinal and any of these films. I'd love to know what you think. I'll catch you next time.